Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Daniel Rice, research analyst at the Mitchell Institute for Aerospace Studies, to our Aerospace Nation series. We're very pleased that Lieutenant General Mike Tien could join us today. General Tien is currently the CEO of the Global Research and Industrial Alliance at the Zhongyuan Christian University, where he focuses on bringing technology and academia together to increase Taiwan's connections with the global market. Prior to his current role, Lieutenant General Tien served a long and distinguished career in the Republic of China Air Force. He's an experienced fighter pilot with over 3,200 hours in various aircraft. So welcome, General Tien, and thank you for joining us today. It's great to have you back here at the Mitchell Institute to mark the 80th anniversary of the creation of the American Volunteer Group, or what we popularly refer to as the Flying Tigers. I'd like to start off by giving you an opportunity to make a few opening remarks on the history and legacy of the Flying Tigers, and then we'll dive deeper into the topic. So with that, General Tien, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Dan. First of all, I would like to thank you, the Mitchell Institute invited me to come here to talk about the Flying Tigers history. As you know, this year is the 80th anniversary of the Flying Tigers. And secondly, good morning, my dear American friends, and some of them are the international friends. Now I want to start this briefing. I cannot push down. Okay. In the early days, I mean around in 1920 to 1930. At that time, our Air Force had no any experience how to run Air Force. So through the coordination with the United States government, we invited Major John Hamilton Jewett came to mainland China, and they signed a 3 years contract and trained our around 375 pilots. And as probably some of you already knew, TV Song Ziwen, he is a brother of the Lt Gen Tsai-Mai, and he is the first person to propose the establishment of the RC Air Force. In the meantime, the Dr. Kong Xiangxi, he was the Lt Gen Tsai-Mai's brother-in-law, or received an invitation from the Italian, the Prime Minister Mussolini. Of course, Italian would like to sell some airplane and transfer technology and send some mechanical expert and pilots go to China to help us and to build up the, the aeronautical industry's capability in China, as well as to train our pilot, in China. Those are the airplanes provided by the Italian, but most important was at that time the rocket only have a 31 squadron, and have a 284 combat aircraft. But the other another 400 aircraft attached to various flying schools, but only have 91 of these aircraft were suitable for combat. Why? Because at that time, our Air Force have no idea, no concept how to run in combat aircraft fleet. No sustainment, doesn't know the spare parts and the components, and they didn't build any capability for that. But 1 year later, so through the General Chino's recommendation, so we composed, we call the VBS, Volunteer Bombing Squadron, was composed by the foreign pilots. Of course, we provided the bombers. Those are the airplane. The photo show there, you can take a look. And this chart I want to mention, after the war started on the July 7, 1937, because we are, a joint nation, a weak country. So at that time, we thank you for Uncle Sam. We provided Martin 10, a B-10 to us. So we flew those up two airplanes to drop the airlift to Japan. And they very successfully, this was done on the 20th May 1938, 4 years earlier than the Doolittle raid. That's the flyer content. You can take a look about that. After the completion mission, they flew back to the Chongqing. The photo was taken in Chongqing. The photo there is a real Martin B-10 in the Air Force Museum at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I went there visit. You can see at the left photo, I was there. So this bomber not that big. So because in the early days, I think in 1935, General Chennault was seen by our Major General Mao Bangchu and Roy Holbrook. So they meet each other. So because he has a very good flying scale and very good concept and perspective related to the development for the Air Force, forever education, training, etc. So that's why we invite him to come to China. This is the ship we call the U.S. President Garfield and the ship the General Chennault from Japan to the Shanghai in 1937. So we hire him, General Chennault, as a senior advisor. Even he retired from the Army Air Force, Army Air Corps as a captain, but because he's quite old, at that time I think he's more than 40 years old. So when Madame Jiang saw him, just call him Colonel. But that's why when we composed the AVG, he was a commander with the rank of Colonel. After he arrived in China, so he flew two airplanes, okay, to some kind of inspection trip. This is the map. He flew over the several Air Force bases in China to understand our combat readiness, the situation, and the training situation. And also on the 21st August 1937, so the Sino-Soviet non-aggression pact was signed because at that time, as you know, after war started on the July 7th, 4 months later, all the aircraft were shut down by Japanese. That doesn't mean we are not that good because all the airplane we have is a combat airplane. It's an old version, cannot compete with the Japanese airplane. So at that time, and the Soviet Union gave the ROC initial credit of the US dollar, like 22 million to buy some airplane, combat airplane, including bombers. So here some charts related to the Soviet Union, just for your information. But one thing I want to mention, from the 1937 to 1940, totally they provided 80 high-level advisors and with the 3,665 service members to China to help us. And during the 4 years period, totally they will kill 236 people, soldiers in China. That's the organizing chart for your information. And on the 25th November 1940, our government submitted a proposal to the United States to which can get some airplanes and construct the airports and the airfields, etc. And the idea of AVG was supported by the majority of US officials. So that's why we got a chance through the US government's approval, we purchased 100 P-40s by US dollar around 8.9 millions. Everybody may be curious about how the 100 airplane come from. because there was a race in the by the General Chennault when he talked to his wingman Willie McDonald in the October 1940 in Nanjing. So the thing about in my country, probably we can afford a 100 airplane to buy that, and also that's why he raised this issue that hope can get another 100 pilot, okay, to come to China. This was the purpose of AVG, but also we asked his ground crew, Sebby Smith. He said that's true. And here is the President Roosevelt write a letter to the Navy talking about to offer the plans and personnel. The right photo was a letter of resignation signed by the Peppy Boynton. His first name is Gregory Boynton. So on the 15th March 1941, President FDR inked the land lease act to help our Air Force by setting up the AVG, giving the Chinese force and the powerful area support. This is the contract for the real contract. Just for your information, was collected by one of our associate professor, Hong Simi. And the AVG organized was constituted on August 1st, 1941, with the Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek's chart. And in order numbers 5987, just for your information here. So I can tell you for sure the AVG is a real organization under the Republic of China Air Force, not belongs to the United States Army Air Corps. Here is some chart for your information because I only have a limited time. So just let you know. Originally, of course, you know, we bought a 100 P-40B, but because when shipped to the Rangoon, on the dock of the Rangoon, the one P-40 have been unhappily dropped into the harbor. So that's why we only have a 99. So the totally we have 7 sailings were taken to transport all the crew from the United States to Rangoon. Here's the map for your information. Of course, when they go to the Rangoon by the ship called the Jake's Fountain and was escorted by the U.S. Salt Lake City and the USS Northampton. There's the crew photo for your information. They are when they arrive Congo. That's their dormitory, and in the airport you can see some people lie down there. The payment are not that bad. The pilot 600 and the element leader 675 and the squadron commander was $750 US. Of course, if you shut down or even on the ground, the Japanese airplane, you can get $500 at that time. Here's the group photo from the first and second and third squadron. Because some of the American Chinese, they are US citizens, also participate, join the 40th Air Force. Of course, all of them were ground crew. Because Japan attacked the Pearl Harbor, so the US declared war against Japan instantly, and the nature of the volunteers vanished. So they now from the AVG transfer become it was disbanded. So established the CATF. We call the China Air Task Force. It was under the 10th Air Force. Because at that time, the supporting for the AVG, not for the CATF, not that well. So that's why Brigadier General Tsai-Mai, of course, he promoted as a brigadier general and proposed to the President FDR to separate the CATF from the 10th Air Force. This is the organization chart. Under the 40th Air Force have 4 wings. The red color, the red block squad, the red color here you can see is we call the CSW, Chinese American Composite Wing. Under the wing have 3 groups, including one bomber group, another two fighter group. And in the meantime, after our pilot finished the training, graduate from the United States, we sent the 12, this General Geno's idea, we sent the 12 pilots to the 23rd fighter group and of the 40th Air Force. They joined the 74th, 75th, 76th Squadron. The most important is can join together, work together, fight together to learn more experience with American friends. Here's our people in Yunnan to use the stone roller to pave the runway. Here's the real one. Now is stay in the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now we talk about the hump. The hump, this map shows the start from the India and to the Chongqing and Kunming in China. So the width of the hump roughly around 80 kilometers. So the U.S. Air Force, Army Air Force, and the CNAC totally lost over almost 600 planes and more than 1,300 air or ground crew or passengers were lost. In addition, 81 more aircraft are never accounted for, with their 345 personnel listed as missing. Because the reflections of their metal debris scattering over cliffs and canyons were used as a signpost to guide the following planes. Therefore, the hump was referred to as an aluminum trail or valley or death road. There's a plane crash here, you can look. So the hump once had 650 solis a day during its peak, and the fuel ammunitions obtained a large share of the supplies. Here's the airplane B-24 and C-87, C-107 and 109. And here's some other airplane, including the bomber and the cargo. Here, because we have, so many aircraft crashed, so during that period, our people of Luliang also provide a timely assistance to wounded air crews. So 14th Air Force was established on the 10th of March, 1943. Here's the CSCW's organization. Because each unit have two commanders, Chinese and American. Chinese commander in charge of logistics support and administration. The American commander in charge of the training and the operations. Here's the location in Zhejiang. And the composite wing, that means not only the fighter and the bomber and the fighter group combined together, also include the Chinese and American the people working together. Each squadron they have contains 9 American officers and NCOs, definitely include the Chinese officers and the ground crew. Because during the wartime, we have sent a whole bunch of cadet student training in the United States. That's not enough, so that's why General Chino raised the issue, and we have a training branch in the Karachi, India, and of course in the States, one of them was Lukeville, and from 1942 to 45, totally have more than 3,500 ROCKET members were sent to the United States for training. So because from 23rd December 1941 to the 1st July 1942, totally AVG with a very limited airplane and the limited pilots and shut down 299 Japs airplanes. This makes the record. Even any single unit of the United States military in Europe cannot make the record. So of course, when the Pearl Harbor was attacked by the Japan and China, we already fought against the Japanese invasion for 4 years. So everybody feel very bad. But because of Japanese and the forced launch on the 23rd of December, the AVG shut down the 10 aircraft. And also on the 25th, they shut down the 28. So this make all the allied, my country, the people in my country, in the United States, everybody feel very happy. So that's why the AVG started so famous in the world. So this is chart to show how many sorties they have performed. And this chart shows how many people die. Of course, they include 12, for the AVG, and the 12 were killed in action, 9 were killed in the accident, and 4 were captured by the Japanese or missing MIA. Here's the headquarters, upper left, the headquarters of AVG. So also General to salute the fallen pilots, Lieutenant Kohler, email, Scott, Wedding, Shoulder, etc. This is from 1941 to 1942. The CATF did not perform not that well, because it doesn't mean they are not good, because it's short of the fuel and the supply. These charts are very, very important, because in the Huitong Bridge on the Southern River on the May 7, 1942, led by the Tex Hill, a very famous pilot. So to bomb the bridge, stop the 2 divisions of Japanese army across the bridge, because as you know, this place, you can see the Southern River there, and they're quite close to the Kunming. If the Japanese troops cross over the bridge, they were definitely very easy to attack the Kunming, even our capital, provisional capital, Chongqing. If we lost, maybe the World War II will extend several years longer. And because Japanese army are very strong at that time. So if they can cross the river, cross the bridge, in near term, they will send their troops to invade and occupy India. And they also already talked to the German, they wish can have some kind of meet up in the Cairo, Egypt. If they happen, well, the World War II maybe will extend longer. So that's why this battle of the Southern Gorge ranks as one of the most decisive use of air power in the history of air warfare. Here you can see the bridge photo, the old photo, and the location, and the downward left, the bottom left is the original location of the Huitong Bridge. Here's talking about in 1943, what we have done. I just skipped that. This is important. On the 25th November 1943, also led by Tex Hill. Okay, but we got information because they have a whole bunch of airplanes on the Hsinchu Air Force Base in Taiwan. So he laid 29 airplanes to bomb their base. So shut down, included on the ground and the air, 58 airplanes. This is before the bomb, this is after the attack. Because everybody happy because on the same day, they have a Cairo conference. Generalissimo Chiang Kai-shek, President Roosevelt, and the Prime Minister Churchill was there. You can see the photo. Of course, in 1944 and 1945, we were getting better because Japanese was lost a lot of battles. And this one, I want to mention the Ichigo, the #1, because Japanese, it happened on the April, in the April 1944, because they want to push the Chinese out of the area between the Yellow River and Yangtze River to secure the rail line from the Beijing to Hankou. And the seizure of the Changsha and the American air base at Henyang. They wish to destroy the other American air base and eventually link up the Japanese force driving north from Indochina, today's Vietnam. And so that's why this was written by a foreigner. He was a Dutch, and they mentioned about the major beneficiary of the Operation Ichigo was the Chinese communist, because it gave Chai Kang a breathing space to survive under the pressure from the Japanese forces and the national forces. Also, the book was written by the Tex Hill on page 287. He mentioned about the communists constitute to husband their strength in 1944 and 1945, and then they're growing up the military to the 1 million troops under arms. And because what is successful for the AVG is the 5 major items, include the well structure, C2I, and deception, teamwork, and knows our the selves and the dual aircraft tactics, just for your information. Because of time limit, I just skip that. It's a warning net. Yeah, just for you, just take a look. Of course, we also set up the AL to see the lookout and communication post. This is a U.S. naval officer work for the OSS, Office of Strategic Service, that is today's CIA. We also invite the Harbor Yali. He's an encryption specialist to China to help us. It's the warning system. If the one lantern means found the unknown airplane out of 200 miles. If 2 lanterns means close to 50 miles. A 3rd lantern, of course, already arrived. Here's a bomb in Chongqing for 5.5 years. That's a disaster happened in my country. And this is talking about the successful tactics. I want to mention about the hit and run created by General Chennault. That means diving, fire accurately, break away, and the climb. But the Tex Hill used the 4 words to describe that, like a dive, squid, pass, and run. And here teamwork, I already mentioned that. So just let you know, the AVG's logo was designed by the Roy Williams and the Ham Poker, as well as the CATF's logo and the 14th Air Force logo. And the chart here, all the logos show here for your information. That's only for the CSEW under the 14th Air Force, not include all the American units. And the shock teeth was created by the Charles Bond, of course, approved by the General Chennault. Here's the bloodshed. I think some of you, maybe all of you already knew that. This chart I want to mention. Major Vito Upanovich, he is a Polish because he has a very good scale. So he shut down the 15 German aircraft during the Battle of Britain because he was too good. So the exiled government of Polish sent him to the United States as a deputy attaché. But when he visited there, stayed there for 6 months, he talked to his government. He said, "I'm not a desk boy." So that's why his government, through the U.S. government assist, sent him to the China to join the 14th Air Force. At that time, he shut down another 2 Japs airplane. So why surviving in China, he knocked down 2 Japanese airplanes, but never got a bullet. This is the painting for him, and this photo just for you. This AVG's SS photo here. Totally have a 23, And here is our Chinese SS. This is the last day of the General Chino. Everybody probably you knew General Arnold, General Marshall, General Steve Will. They don't like him, so I sent him back to States before the victory. So the AVG totally shut down the 299. CATF destroyed the 149, but the 14th Air Force, destroyed 2,600 Japanese aircraft, and possibly destroyed 600 Japanese aircraft. There's before the surrender, the Japan sent the airplane to the Zhejiang in 21st August 1945. Here's a surrender ceremony in Beijing. In Nanjing. It happened on the 9th September 1945. In China, we divide into the 15 areas of submission for your information there. Of course, this is signed the instrument of surrender in Missouri in September 2nd, 1945. But this occupation plan didn't happen because Russia occupied East Europe. British and my country are recovering for the country, especially we have a civil war. So only United States sent the troops in Japan. And on May 3rd, 1991, U.S. Department of Defense finally recognized the AVG as a COVID government operation and its personnel as a U.S. war veteran. Here's a reunion photo for your information. And we moved the General Chino's statue from Taipei to Hualien. In the early days, PRC, they hate General Chino. There's the book they published. There's a celebration in Taiwan. I mentioned about the Texas Lee 29 airplane bombed the Hsinchu Air Force Base. There was 70 years anniversary. This is the last time, left photo, I met Madame Chino, Anna Chino. That was the last time I saw her. Yeah. She passed away 3.5 years ago. Because she trusts me, so allow me to send 2 experts to go to General Chino's office in Georgetown and digitalize the 3,687 pages of historical record, including 29 folders. There's AVG operation book. There's the letter. This is our Arlington in Taiwan. Okay, just this 80 years anniversary for the Flying Tigers. These are junior legal tenders, $2 bill. There's a reunion. So what I would like to mention is United States and my country and mainland China are recognized that AVG is a great story. So I hope through this point can contact among us to make a world peace in the future. Okay, this is my short briefing. But this one, the last one, I want to spend another 30 seconds to you. I want to read out. From this slide, you may see a few symbolic figures that have shown the typical American spirit of the statehood. They are American role models of political righteousness based on your national interest and the purpose of the world peace. They had assist ROC, Republic of China, to overcome the numerous difficult times. In addition, they have one thing in common. They absolutely detest the communists, even having abomination against them. That's the reason I raise it up to you, and by hoping, my dear American friends, that when you, because we wish following their noble political righteousness and commercial methods of your forerunners to continue assist my country and keeping the future generation of both sides of Pacific away from war and enjoying days of the internal peace. Thank you.
Thank you, General Tien. Thanks for that context and insight, and thanks for doing so much to preserve the history of the Flying Tigers. And I know for those of you, that was a very quick rundown. So we actually do have a Chinese version, if you happen to speak Chinese, that we will be uploading to YouTube later in the week. So with that, I'd like to now dig a little bit deeper into the Flying Tigers and their story. So General, I want to take us back to the beginning of this story. Prior to World War II, the United States had a very limited role on the international stage. As most of our listeners recall, there's a very strong isolationist movement in the US. Taken in this context, it was a huge decision to allow the formation of the AVG with US crews and aircraft. Can you talk to us about the details behind this decision? Were there specific events that pushed the Roosevelt administration to pursue this course of action?
Because at that time, Republic of China already fought against Japan's invasion for 4 years. So for the national interest of the United States, so that's why, because the United States government need to keep the remainder neutral, but because of the world peace, so that's why President approved Roosevelt approved the Land Lease Act to support us.
Thank you. So I'd imagine there's also some lessons here that are very important, given the need to maintain deep allied and partner relationships in the Pacific. Do you see any untapped opportunities for improving partnerships in the Indo-Pacific?
Because the Taiwan strategic position are very important, not only in the Northeast Asia, but also a hub of the Indo-Pacific region. So the support our country in all domains, so can meet the U.S. interest in national security.
All right, so I'll dive into the next question here.
Yeah, please.
Yep. So as I understand it, there were some unique connections that helped Chiang Kai-shek cultivate support within the Roosevelt administration. Whether talking about events today or 80 years ago, people really matter. General, what role did personal relationships have in facilitating these arrangements?
Because at that time, all of our government officials have a very good friendship and connections with your government's official. Excuse me, especially Madame Chinov. She graduated from the Wesley University, so definitely she has a very good connection with your government, because we have a so close friendship. So it helps them. Once we need help, the United States always support us, especially Madame Chiang Kai-shek. She gave a speech on the February 18, 1943. So that she got a bit echoed, and also several speeches in the Los Angeles, New York. So all the Americans feel very surprised why a Chinese lady can speak so good English. Even though when she gave a speech, your media, correspondents need to check the dictionary. But anyway, so everybody think after her speech, everybody think about the China are war now and fought against the Japanese invasion. So that's why we need support there for the regional security, but also for the world peace.
Makes sense. All right, I've got a couple more questions for you, General, and then we will hop right into the Q&A from the audience, because I see quite a few messages coming through. So the two big ones that we talk about a lot at Mitchell are logistics under attack and JADC2. So I'll just ask you this one here. General, a major topic we think about a lot is the notions of logistics under attack. For years, we could flow supplies into bases free from attack, but that's likely not going to be the case in a future major conflict. So the AVG had to fight while their supply lines and bases were under attack. Are there lessons from their experience that we can apply to today's challenges and to warfighting logistics?
Because at that time, actually, if at that time the support are very well and the supply line are very well, maybe we can shorten the year of war, especially with their lack of the fuel, lack of the ammunition, I already mentioned in my preview. So reflect today, okay, why I think because we are the front line of the democratic world and based on mainland China. So I think today we truly hope United States government can transfer the technology, of course, definitely approved by your government and build up the sustainment capability in Taiwan. And I think this is the right way and only way to the war fighting logistics. Of course, in the meantime, you mentioned about the intelligence. We also, as of today, so many PRC airplanes flying around the Yellow Sea, East China Sea, Taiwan Strait, and the South China Sea. And if the United States government, through my dear Americans audience here, through your help, we can get a little bit more ISR platform so we can perform the mission, not only to collect the information, intelligence information, but also can share the burden of the US military. So I think just like what you mentioned are very important for those three things.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So I'd like to fast forward to a topic about allies and partners, right? So later in the war, the US Army Air Force and the Chinese Air Force continued to work very closely. Chinese pilots were trained in the US, they were equipped with American combat aircraft and theater, and we executed joint operations. Was that a smooth process, or what worked well and what presented challenges? And what does that suggest for modern partner engagements?
So we truly hope in the future, United States can assist us to train more our pilots, but also as well as the Army and Navy in the States. Because at that time, during the World War II, you already saw my briefing materials, over 3,500 students or young officers training in the United States. So that's a kind of good training. So then we will have a better combat readiness. Even today, we still have one F-16 squadron at Luke, because as you know, several years ago, before the Luke Air Force Base got the F-35, that base were the F-16 base. So totally have 10 squadrons. One squadron from the Singapore, one squadron from my country, Taiwan. Another 10 squadrons belongs to the United States Air Force. So they have a Turkish shoe annual competition. So one of our pilots won the champion. They won the champion. So when we mention this to the Pentagon, they feel very proud. They say, well, we, United States, we can provide the best training syllabus and systems, as well as provide the best fighters. The most important, we provide the best training environment in Arizona. So that's why they made your pilot to win the champion, to win the champion. So I think this must be exist year and year, decades to decades, to secure the national safety in Taiwan, as well as in the regional.
Thank you for that. So, sir, to wrap things up in this segment of the conversation, what are the 3 top lessons from the ABG experience that today's leaders should consider? And this could apply to political leaders, top military commanders, or folks on the flight lines directly engaging in partner operations.
Okay, 2 examples I want to share with my American friends. During the Cold War, through the CIA and your government assistance and support, we established the 2 squadrons. One is the 34th Squadron, we call it Black Bat. Another 35th Squadron, we call it Black Cat. They all belong to the ISR squadron. So the United States play the support the platform. We perform the intelligence mission, get some kind of reconnaissance photos, etc., and the coming, seeking information collection. So we found a whole bunch of very important intelligence information, and we share and submit to the United States. Especially at that time, in early days, PRC developed the nuclear power. So that's what surprised your government. At that time was the President Kennedy. So what it means through the past close cooperation, so in the future, I truly hope in terms of a military perspective, United States government should continue, not only provide a weapon system to us, but also need to, help us to build out the more ISR capabilities that include the ground analysis system, distribution system, center, something like that. Secondly, sustainment. Not because, during the wartime, we don't have much time to ship our high-tech spare parts or components to the States for the repair. So that's why United States contractor must get approved from your government to establish the high-tech sustainment center or repair center in Taiwan to shorten the time, so they can raise our availability of our compact aircraft fleet, even our ship fleet and the Army's weapon systems. So not only we can keep the capability, we can have the capability, but also we can keep the capacity. And third one is a training. So the key point is ISR sustainment in Taiwan, also keep training, just like I mentioned regarding to the last issue. I think this can keep Taiwan safe. And also we can share the burden and share the responsibility for the regional security.
Thank you for that. So we've now come to the end of this segment of our discussion. General Tien, thanks again for your excellent history of the Flying Tigers and all that you are doing to preserve the history and legacy of this amazing group of airmen. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And as an alert to our listeners, our next event will be on Monday, October 25th with General Mark Kelly, Commander of Air Combat Command. That's a live event and we'll be up at the Capitol Hill Club in DC. So we hope you'll join us for that. So now we're going to open the session to questions from the audience. I've seen a few pouring in already. So thank you for listening to the conversation. And if you do have a question, you can use the raise hand function, or you can submit your questions through the Q&A. If you do the raise hand function, when I call on you, please unmute your mic and state your name and affiliation for our guest before asking your question. So with that, let's first see if there's any raised hands. I have a question, at least from the Q&A, from Jerry Miller. So he asks you, General Tien, can you comment on the role technology plays and where you see the greatest edge for victory, either through technology or human factors?
As of today, because, for example, we have the engine, all the aircraft have engine. Engine is a high tech. For example, if in our engine we have a gearbox, once gearbox need to periodically check if something wrong, we cannot fix it. Need to send back to the United States for repair, then ship it back again. At least will take maybe 6 months or more than 6 months. This will this is not good for our availability. As well as today, all the cars in the United States we need a chip. But in Taiwan, or TSMC company are very famous. They produce the chip. This is a high tech, and the IPR belongs to us. So I truly hope go through this is the other way to each other. So I hope we can build, both sides can sit down at the table and talk about this technological transfer. I think it's good for both sides, and it will create a win-win situation.
Thank you for that. And we've got a question from William Godwin. William, if you would unmute your mic, go ahead, sir.
Hey, I'm honored to be in this chat. I'm the 23rd Wing historian here at Moody Air Force Base.
Good.
I'm actually in George W. Bush Air Park. I wish I could show you the video. We got the P-40 on display here. It has been repainted. I wanted to let you know, General, that I don't know if you were aware that Don Miller passed away back in January. He was a 7th Fighter Squadron P-51 pilot in 44 and 45. His family donated his entire flight suit, plus his blood chits and his flight log. He was also a member of the 1st Air Commandos. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but we're going to have it on display here at Moody Air Force Base here pretty soon. We're waiting on the display case to arrive. We've got a mannequin to completely deck out. You are more than welcome to come to Moody Air Force Base at any time and visit us. I'd love to give you a tour. We have several artifacts from Claire Chenault's desk, including his desk, you know, the little triangle plaque that has his name on it, and several blood chits and flags here as well. But I just wanted to say hey to you, and I really have enjoyed this interview with you. And I also would love to get a copy of your slides to add to my history here at Moody Air Force Base.
Truly appreciate. Go to Moody Air Force Base to visit there is one of my dreams. I hope you can share your contact information with the AFA Mitchell Institute. Then they will forward to me. Then we can connect to each other. I truly hope someday I can visit there to pay my respect to your all heroes and my dear American friends, and as well as maybe give a Flying Tigers lecture there if they like to listen.
Love to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I've got another question, General Tien. General, you've done an outstanding job teaching us about the shared U.S.-Taiwan history in World War II and Korea. Given the political situation today, how are Taiwan and the U.S. militaries cooperating? Or is this an area where increased interaction may be beneficial to both sides?
Today, both sides of cooperation are very good, but that's not enough. We truly hope can add more, but due to the classified information, I cannot talk in this video because we have some international friends listen there. Maybe some of them are from mainland China. Also, and I must be aware of that. But anyway, your government already tried their best, but I think that's enough. But anyway, in the future, I hope both sides can sit down on the table and talk more cooperation, whatever in the States, I mean the training, whatever in the States or in Taiwan. I think this is good for everybody.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I also have another question that it seems like you might not be able to answer as well. But I do have one here from Bruce Lemkin, actually. So he says, yes, he says, thank you, good friend, General Mike Tien. So he said, this is a great reminder of the effectiveness of air power and of the historical partnership of the U.S. and our friends in China during World War II and since in Taiwan to defeat and or deter common enemies. Do you see any lessons of the Flying Tigers that can be applied to the current situation regarding Taiwan?
Just like what I mentioned, friendship are most important stuff. Okay. So we need to keep that friendship, and through all effort, can connect with all American friends in the United States and assist us not only in the military but also in the economic and trade. And as you know, Taiwan is a hub in Asia. Our position, strategic position, are very important. We can link to Japan and South Korea. I mean the Korean Peninsula to the north and down to the south to the Philippines, Australia, and the west side is mainland China. So these locations are very, very important. So we need to keep it free. And as a front line of the democratic world, I think not only the United States, in the whole world, we need to cooperate to each other, among us, then we can keep peace in this region.
Thank you for that, sir. So with that, we've come to the end of this Aerospace Nation event. So once again, like to say a big thank you to Lieutenant General Tien, and to you and to our audience from all of us here at the Mitchell Institute. Have a great aerospace power kind of day. Tian Zhangjun, Yifei Chongtian, Yao Yao Lingxian.
Thank you. I want to pass my best regards to my all American friends. Let's work in together, fight for the freedom. Okay, thank you.